So if I tell you I serially raped like 10 people, unless I can like show you the women or whatever, you're not gonna say I'm a rapist? What?
Well, I don't even know even then, because, you know, there's no cameras. What about if those women are lying?
Yeah, I'm literally not going to call you a rapist if you tell me, hey, I
If I
murdered
tell
someone
you
yesterday.
I've raped 10 people, you're not gonna call me a rapist because you haven't talked to the women?
Because I don't know if you're a fucking crazy person, and Max is not the most reliable narrator.
All right, let me,
Okay.
if I may.
And listen, just say Max Carson is a rapist. Just say what you want to fucking say if you really believe it. If you think this is the standard now, where we get to just sort of like psychoanalyze people after they tell a story, when their whole shtick is like villainizing themselves and shit like that, and painting themselves in the worst possible light in their content, which was true when he was making YouTubes, that's sufficient to call someone a rapist. And we can just set the standard there, and that's how we'll move forward.
Yeah, he's a rapist.
Okay, so I don't ever want to hear you complain about people calling you rapistany. Heard you called me out off the top ropes.
Ooh, cold the fuck
Oh,
out.
is this the rape? Oh, this is the rape.
Whoa.
He's the rape apologist. Look at Supreme. How could you?
That's me. I'm good faith Andy. I'll even defend, you know. Okay. I don't want to go there.
Not good.
All right. Well, what's the argument?
Well, you have made the affirmative, so you should lead this debate.
Well, I've made my argument. I feel like it's been heard, and I don't know.
Well,
what
for the
what
sake
response
of the
is.
new viewers here who have not been following along, why don't you go ahead and say your retort to Steven's comment? Steven, I guess in so many words, has said what he said, and now what do you say?
Yeah, what do you
Sir?
say?
Oh, no, I don't know what he said.
Okay, then what did you say?
I came on and said what I said fucking 2 days ago to him.
Mm-hmm. So why are you here now?
Good question, because I heard that he called me out and presented a new argument. I want to hear it.
Did I?
That's what I heard. That this morning you fucking responded to. I went on Chill Logic and said the stuff where I said, yeah, I don't think you should call Mr. Girl a rapist. I think.
What
if I
about
had to
how in the
guess-
clip? What about how he says, "Yeah, that was rape"?
Okay. Do you think that he means that he thinks he raped this person?
No, I think he's just saying it because he knows he kind of did, but he's like begging the audience to take his side.
Damn. You know what's crazy about this? I actually have DMs with him where I asked him about this video like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Where we talked about the situation. Where I was like, I feel like, well, I wonder, I could ask him if we can release the DMs. If you want to see it. But we talked about this, and he obviously doesn't think that it's rape, right? We saw that with Flacco.
Yeah.
Or is it Flocka? I don't know his fucking name.
Wow. But okay.
He talks about how, you know, the things happened with the details that he mentions. She says, hold on, I'm not ready. Then he says she gave him a look. They had sex. He says he received no negative signals after that. And that she asked to have sex again.
Okay.
So he raped her?
What part of that precludes rape?
The part where it seems that one party picked up a signal that they took to be nonverbal consent, and then the second party did not protest at all. It could still, that person could, it's dangerous, right? It could still be the case that the lady could be like, hey, that wasn't consent. I wasn't giving you consent. But it can also be the case that she can say, yeah, that was meant to be like consent. That was meant to say, okay, go for it. What would you say then? What if we asked this lady and she said, yeah, I was giving him that look to tell him like, all right, let's go.
That'd be really crazy if we could talk to that lady. But it wasn't just the look. It was that she actually literally said no. Or she said, I'm not ready.
She gave verbal non-consent, and then she gave what he interpreted to be nonverbal consent. And it seems like we don't have any indication that that's not the case.
Okay.
How many times have you had sex and received verbal consent for penetration? How often does that happen?
Verbal consent? Probably less than 10% of the time. Pretty rare.
Okay. Even if they say like, hold on or something?
You
or they give you
say enter.
Never continued forward when they've said no or they're not ready. Or if they get body signs that it feels like they're not ready. I've never gone further than that.
And that's certainly advisable. That's the prescription I would give. If they give verbal non-consent, wait for verbal consent. I think that's smart. Because certainly Mr. Girl opened himself up to some sexual misconduct. But in the end, whether or not it's sexual misconduct relies on what?
Well, whether it was. I actually don't really care about the self-report from the supposed victim.
Okay. Can you give me a definition of rape?
Yeah, when you rape someone or when you have sex with someone after they say no.
Is that your definition?
Um,
So what if they tell you
technically, it
no
would be
and
sex
then-
without somebody's consent, right?
Yeah, non-consensual, unwanted sexual penetration specifically, right?
Actually, I think we would need a more sophisticated example. Or we need a more sophisticated definition. I think we would probably say that rape is when you have sex with somebody when if they haven't given consent.
Yeah, non-consensual.
Not non-consensual. Non-consensual is not enough. It has to be if they haven't given you consent, I think.
Unconsented.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they haven't given it to you. Not whether they feel it or not, right?
Yes, unconsented.
Well, you
have
just say
not consented.
unconsented, but like I think it has to be given.
Okay. What does unconsented mean? Means you have not given
It means their
consent.
state of mind doesn't have it. But like here's an example, okay? Let's say that I sneak into somebody's house, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I sneak upstairs and I find somebody in bed. And I go, oh yeah, I'm gonna rape this motherfucker. And I go and I rape him. I have sex with them. They don't even wake up. And then I sneak out. Let's say that person wakes up and they're like, oh yes. Like my secret fantasy was for somebody to come into my house and like have sex with me. Thank God. Do you think that the person that engaged in that sexual activity was a rapist, or they raped somebody, or no? Because in that sense, they had the other person consented, but the raper didn't have the consent.
Yeah, I understand. And this one's tough, and I don't have a concrete answer for this one. It is disanalogous to the Max situation because we have a situation.
Well, no. I think it's exactly analogous. In this case, somebody wasn't giving consent. But Max
Somebody
thought
could
it was
not give consent because they were asleep.
Well, yeah, but they could have said it.
Versus-
They could have said it beforehand. They could have said, "Oh, come fuck me while I'm asleep."
Well, then they consented to it. Then it's if somebody
Well, but they
says, "Fuck
didn't
me
say
when I
that.
fall
That's the whole
asleep,"
point. But they didn't say that, right?
Okay. The point is the lady. She's saying she sent me a signal that I interpreted as a sign of nonverbal consent.
Okay, but in that case, can't I always fuck everybody ever? Like, no matter what the fuck they say?
The point is whether it's unconsented or unwanted does rely on the victim.
I don't
If the
believe that.
sex-
But, well, okay. We might just disagree here, but go ahead. Sorry.
Wait. So if he inserted and she was like, "Hang on, I don't consent," like then it's clear as day, no rape. But if it is the case that she gave him a look that was meant to tell him to proceed, like if you asked her, "Hey, did you give him that look to tell him to proceed?" She was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what that look meant." Is she not allowed to give consent in that way? Is that an unacceptable form of
Retroactively?
consent?
I mean, I guess she can.
Not
but the other guy
retroactive.
Still, she
It's
did.
not
It is.
retroactive.
If you say no, I'm not ready, then you're retroactively given consent.
No, if you say no, I'm not ready, and then you choose another way to give consent that is not
That's not
verbal,
choosing a way to give consent. Is giving a look?
If that's what she chooses, it's up to her intention, right? Whether or not it's meant to give consent. Okay, what if she just fucking sat on his cock and didn't say anything? She said, "No, I don't consent," and then just sat right down on it.
Well, then she did it. No, then she did it. That's her. She's the one making the move. That's on her.
Okay, what if she like strokes his arm and nods?
No, that's confusing. If she's saying no, I'm not ready, but then strokes his arm and nods, I don't think that's.
You're right, it's confusing, but whether or not it's rape is up to whether or not it's the sex was unconsented, was non-consensual and unwanted.
Do you think it's possible to fuck somebody who doesn't want to be fucked, and then they change their mind kind of midway through, and they're like, okay, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so if two things can be true, one is that she said no, and two is that she could change her mind midway through. She's like, fuck it, I do like it. Then you've created a scenario now where I can fuck every single girl I want, even if they say no, because I think they might be giving me a nonverbal cue, and maybe I can make them like it so much afterwards they'll say yes. That's what you're essentially saying, like, yeah, it's possible.
No, I'm not essentially saying that at all.
Like you just need
I'm
to rape
saying
somebody
that
really good.
No, I'm saying, are you missing the part where I say that it seems like he interpreted that she was granting consent in a nonverbal way?
Why would you?
And that she could have intended that way.
Yeah. Why would you ever go for like what the person that wants to gain the sex in that scenario? And they literally said, "I'm tired. I don't want to. I skipped the foreplay. I just want to fuck." That person, like, oh well, there was a signal that I interpreted as consent. Like they might interpret anything as consent.
And they can be wrong, and Max could have been wrong, and it could have been rape.
Yeah, but you can't know that after the
It's
fact.
an ambiguous signal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole
Well,
point
I'm saying
of that
okay,
video.
but I totally disagree. I don't think there's anything ambiguous about like I'm not ready.
That's why I asked you, how many times have you had sex where somebody has given you explicit verbal consent?
It's rare, but I've never fucked somebody who said they're not ready.
Okay, when you say, okay, well then I can just fuck everybody, or I can fuck anybody,
Yeah.
and say, well, I thought they would have wanted it, or something
Yeah,
like that.
that's what you're
Obviously
saying.
not.
No, that's exactly what you're saying.
But that's actually how sex proceeds most of the time.
Where the
through this,
girl
like,
explicitly
procedural-
says, I'm not ready, and you just do it anyway? That's not a most
she
of the
says-
time. That's an exceptionally rare circumstance.
She gets completely naked. Allegedly, this is a story that he made up, which is my biggest issue with starting to call him a rapist, especially within 24 hours of
Wait,
him
what do you
patting
mean
himself in the
he-
back over the Prime Kai situation.
What do you mean he made up the story?
We don't know if the story is even real. We don't even know if this woman exists.
Okay. So if I tell you I've serially raped like 10 people, unless I can like show you the woman or whatever, you're not going to say I'm a rapist? What?
Well, I don't even know even then, because, you know, there's no cameras. What about if those women are lying?
Yeah, I'm literally not going to call you a rapist if you tell me, hey, I
If I
murdered
tell
someone
you
yesterday.
I've raped 10 people, you're not going to call me a rapist because you haven't talked to the women?
Because I don't know if you're a fucking crazy person, and
Here.
Max is not the most reliable narrator.
All right, let me,
Okay.
if I may, Wicked Supreme, I would say that consent, okay, is not a word that has a strict
No, we're not going to get off this
definition.
point.
Hold-
Dan, I murdered your parents. Am I a murderer?
Hold on, I'd like to finish
No,
my thing
I want an
before you
answer
get
to this.
interrupted. I don't give a
I
shit
want an
what
answer
you
to
want.
this.
Yeah, I'm talking right now. You've talked for a lot. Fucking
Uh-oh.
wait. Listen, consent is not something that is completely defined as black and white, as we
Yes!
kind of.
That's the point of the story.
So, thank you. So, what I would say is that consent is then defined by what the majority or the vast majority of people would determine to be consent in that case. So, when you use the
No.
example of yes, definitively it is. Consent is defined when it is not solid,
Are you
black and white. It's based on what most people feel in that case would be reasonable. So when we
Wait,
poll most
no
people,
way.
when we poll most people right now and say, "Hey, was consent given in this case right here?" and most people say it was not, then in that I think that's a fair thing to say. In this case, there was no consent, and that rape would be the answer there.
You're
Now,
out
if it
of
was
your,
the other
you're
way,
out of your mind. If I
no,
if I
and
move
in
from-
fact, I would say
Stop.
that most people agreed with me that you would be out of your mind. You would be the minority, and you would
Stop.
be wrong.
Listen to what you're saying, Dan. If I was cuddling with my wife on the couch and we moved from cuddling to sex, and there was not a word spoken, and I asked all my neighbors about it, and they all said, "Oh yeah, it's rape," then it's rape.
You keep saying
See,
not
here's a
word-
great thing. Your
Wait.
neighbors wouldn't say that. That's
No,
the
hold
best
on.
part about this.
You keep saying without a word spoken. If it was without a word spoken, this would be totally different. The reality is that the other person said, I'm not ready.
Yes, wait, I'm not ready. Which is as good as no. I understand. The point is that what was given was was interpreted as a nonverbal consent, and it seems like that was the intention.
Okay.
And that's why I'm asking you, if we got that woman into a room and said, "Was that a sign of consent?" and she said yes, what would you say to her?
it
No,
might have
you were
been.
raped.
Yeah, I would still say, like, well, maybe you weren't raped, but
Give
the
me
other
a
guy raped
break.
you. What do you mean, give me a
No
break?
way.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah. True. That's
If you
crazy.
if somebody told you, yeah, this is how I consented. It was nonverbal. It was how I consented. You would say, nah, you were raped.
Yep. No, I'd say maybe you
Christ.
weren't raped, but like the other guy's a rapist. Yeah. But I've literally known people like this, right?
Well, that's all you need to just casually accuse somebody
I have
of being a
probably
rapist.
been. So something that Lav leaked about me that I guess I'll say is true. I think that there are some types of like toxic sexual situations that I think are pretty fun. There have probably been people that have like raped me, but I don't feel raped because like, oh well, this is a fun experience for me. But that doesn't mean that the other person can't be a rapist, right? Do you understand? Like there have been girls that I've talked to who are like, is it normal that my boyfriend or husband like did this thing where they did this and I kind of didn't like it, but then after they started, I was like, actually, I kind of do like it. Like. I'm like, okay, yeah, I mean, I guess you weren't raped, but the other dude was a rapist. Like, that's totally possible.
What happened to the take where when we say rape, we interpret somebody as aggressively forcing someone to have sex that they like obviously don't want to have? Like, I'm okay.
That's
agreeing that
that's
there's
exactly what I'm saying. There are
But I'm asking you, what if she wanted it to happen? What if she's choosing her own sign of consent?
It
and it's
doesn't
not-
matter.
Steven, what
because
about
the
if you're
other-
a murderer and a guy jumps out of a building because he wants to kill himself, okay, and he's flying down outside, he's 100% dead, he's flying through the air, and you fucking shoot him as he's coming down. Are you a murderer? You just killed that man, but then again, he was 100% dead in 10 seconds. Well, not even 10 seconds, 5 seconds. What's it going to be? Can both things be true? Can you be a murderer and have them be a suicide victim as well at the same time?
It's wild to me that we're like trying to justify like, well, somebody could say no, like in very plain English, but like you could still fuck them and like
and then choose another way to say yes.
After verbally saying no.
Yeah. I don't think it's a good idea.
Okay. I don't think I'm ever going to agree with that, but...
Well, we both agreed that it's not common for people to give a verbal yes before penetration anyway.
Why do you keep saying that?
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know why that's relevant.
It's relevant because the whole idea, one of the ideas behind that video is that it's like not sexy to give verbal consent every step of the way to everybody.
But there's
And that for
verbal
most people-
refusal is different.
I agree. That's what did I say earlier?
I just don't know why you keep saying that. Like, you keep like bringing up like, oh, like people don't ever like. It's not like people normally say yes. It's like, yeah, that's true, but that's way different than saying no.
Because maybe this chick's a fucking idiot, and in the moment she was like, "It's not sexy if I say yes verbally, or
Then
whatever.
she
It's
sounds-
sexier if I give signal."
Yeah, then maybe she isn't able to.
Doesn't
even
mean
properly.
she was raped.
Maybe she can't. Yeah, it does. Well, I mean, no, it doesn't mean she was
No.
raped, but it means the other person was raping.
I can't believe you're dying on this hill. Just say you're mad.
Okay. I can't do the mental gymnastics now to say that, like, well, the person said no, but I think you can fuck them, and I think it's still okay, even if they literally
why are you
explicitly tell
skipping?
you.
You're intentionally
Oh, I'm
omitting
sorry.
the
I'm sorry.
detail.
Okay, I'm omitting the important detail that when I skipped the foreplay and my dick was right next to the vagina, I really wanted to fuck them. That after they explicitly said no, I read a body sign that I think was like meant I needed to fuck them because of the way they looked at me in their eyes, and I know that because I'm an empath.
Yeah, listen, I can agree with everything else about Mrgirl, that he's a fucking, that he's
No, but that's the
narcissistic,
scenario, right? Can you agree that is the scenario, right?
No, you're injecting another part of that. after
Wait,
the
what did
fact.
I inject after the fact?
The part where, because I'm an empath or whatever. Yeah, I agree.
He
that
was-
Mrgirl's
he
like
used-
one of the last people I would fucking trust
She
to make this
explicitly
decision.
said no, and he said, I saw a look in her eyes that said yes.
That's how he describes it. Who knows? What if it was who knows what this look even like? Maybe there was a nod. We don't know. The whole point is that he's making himself out to be a villain on purpose in this video, in the way that he tells the story. I talked to him about this explicitly.
Okay.
And listen, just say Max Carson is a rapist. Just say what you want to fucking say if you really believe it. If you think this is the standard now, where we get to just sort of like psychoanalyze people after they tell a story, when their whole shtick is like villainizing themselves and shit like that, and painting themselves in the worst possible light in their content, which was true when he was making YouTubes, that's sufficient to call someone a rapist. And we can just set the standard there, and that's how we'll move forward.
Yeah, he's a rapist.
Okay, so I don't ever want to hear you complain about people calling you rapistany.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear that.
You know what?
Because, well, hey, Anna fucking said you abused her. That's enough, right? Fuck it.
Anna never said that she said no, and then I fucked her anyway.
No, but she made it out like you messed with her head to get sex.
Okay. You're on a totally different world of existence to try to make these two things equal to one another. Like,
Listen, I think you're on the same different world of existence to just be able to call Max a rapist.
when the girl said no and he fucked her anyway? I'm sorry.
Wicked, are you a fan of Louis C.K. by any chance?
Yeah, I am.
I'm shocked. I can't believe it. Have
Shut
you
up.
ever seen the?
He's a good
no,
comedian.
because this is no. I'm not trying to say that he's creepy or whatever. It's because there's a Louis C.K. bit where he makes this argument unironically, kind of. He talks about a story where he went home with like a Tinder
Ooh, this
date or
girl's like a
something
little
that.
rapey vibe. Yeah, I know the joke.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was like, I'm not gonna rape you on the off chance that you're into it, because she like told him the next day, like,
Yeah, I know the
hey,
joke.
like I told you no, and like it was
I know
Yeah,
the
but the
disappointing
thing
when you
is,
didn't try to
but
fuck me into
Louis
it. Okay,
C.K. was
okay.
wrong. It wouldn't have been rape. It would have been consensual sex that he didn't know he had consent for in Wicked Supreme's world.
Kind of.
I'm sorry.
That's insane. How could you think that it's a good idea to proceed once
I
the
don't
date
think
is,
it's a good
like,
idea.
yeah.
I literally think it's a bad idea. I think it's a horrible way to conduct sex, but it's not inherently,
Okay.
it's not rape by default. It is rape when it is unconsented, unwanted penetration. That's what rape is.
What is okay?
Non-consensual, unwanted penetration.
And how did he know that she wanted it?
Because there was a
thought
look in her
she was giving
eyes.
him
There was
a
a look.
non-verbal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Okay, that could mean anything though. that
it
you
could,
project-
and it could have been rape.
But you just said 2 seconds earlier that anybody who would come to the conclusion that the story he told indicts him as a rapist is like
It's
insane.
not up to anyone. Whether it was unconsented and unwanted, it is up to her at some point. When the penetration occurred, if it was unconsented and unwanted, I'm happy calling it rape. But we don't get to decide that.
Oh, so you're happy
and if you're
that it was rape.
speculating,
You're happy.
yeah, it
I'm
makes me
sorry.
fucking
I'm
rosy.
sorry. Go ahead.
We don't get to decide that is true. I think that the biggest problem is that like everyone will just take Mr. Girl at his word. We will never hear from this other partner, and nobody ever will. And like honestly, you like there's no point, you know. But like the only two people that know what went down that day, that night, that next week, because he said that they had sex again, will be those two people. But like everybody just took Mr. Girl at his word, and that again, like that was the problem to me with that whole thing, is that he was like, oh, consent is just like so complicated, can we ever really say what it is? LOL. And I think he was just trying to obfuscate a sexual assault.
True. Oh my God. True.
Could be. 100% could be.
100%, he says.
Definitely, probably. Well, I don't know. The point is, not enough for us to call him a rapist. Unless you suddenly think it is destiny, if that's where we want to fucking put the goalpost for where and when we can call someone a rapist, is if you just feel like it.
It's not if I just feel like it.
You keep intentionally omitting the part, the nonverbal
Yeah,
consent.
the part where she gave him the look.
It sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous because the guy just scorned you, and the guy's a fucking bad judge of
No!
character and read of emotions and
Steven,
shit.
you're leaving out the part where, you know, she verbalized yes, but then she said she gave him the fuck me eyes. And
The
then
fuck-
that,
most
you know.
most signs of consent in sex are nonverbal.
Not
Correct or
after they
false?
say no. Not after they explicitly say
It doesn't
no.
matter. The point is you accept that this is a form of consent that can be given.
Wicked, how could it not matter? Especially when he said this is like a Tinder hookup. He literally doesn't know this woman.
It doesn't make
He
it
met
rape
her
by
that
default.
morning. And he said he wanted to skip the foreplay and get right to the good stuff.
Yeah, and she fucking took off all her clothes and sat on him.
And then she was like, wait a second, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And he was like, sounds like
And
you
then-
are. And like, off he went.
And then he describes it as if she gave a look or whatever the fuck, and then they had sex, she gave no negative signs, and wanted to have sex again. So what if that
How
look
do we know
really
that she
did
gave
mean
no
consent?
negative signs?
We don't even know the fucking woman exists. If all we're going by is his characterization,
Okay.
Base.
we're
Yeah,
all,
but
that's all we're going by anyway. We're all working on his characterization of this event that we don't even know happened.
Okay.
Okay, well, you're operating off of the second edition of the story. I'm operating off of the third.
What
which
should
is
we
my
need
edition,
before we call someone a
where maybe
rapist?
There were actually things that
Let me
happened
ask- let me ask
between
you
her
straight,
giving
Raid.
him the fuck me eyes and
Oh,
like
she's
things happened
obfuscating now.
afterwards that were.
Let me ask you straight, right? What should we need before we call someone a rapist?
Yeah.
What should we require?
Yeah.
I think we should at least acknowledge that if somebody verbalizes no, you gotta like pump the brakes, man.
I think you're right. I think that is exactly what I would.
But does it
prescribe
really
that if
does it
somebody
make
gives
you a
verbal no-
rapist just because somebody says no? and you
And that-
fuck
and
them
then what?
anyway?
And then what?
And then you fuck them anyway.
Is that what happened? Is that the order of events? Aren't you skipping something intentionally because you can't make your case otherwise?
I'm sorry. She
Oh
said
my
no, but then she gave him the fuck me anyway eyes.
Damn, what if that really was it though? You don't care about that because this guy just scorned you?
No, I don't care.
The fact that she said no.
All right.
Yeah, she said no. No means no.
No, like the thing is that I there's like a nuanced conversation to be had, because I think if he was trying to have the if I'm to like Steelman Max's position, is that his argument was that consent is more complicated than just verbal cues. Again, a lot of
Yes.
it's negotiated through body language. We
Yes.
all agree on this, okay?
Mhm.
There's shades of gray here, but I didn't like that he was trying to reduce it down to like it's just so complicated that we can never say, and it's just so ambiguous. And it's like, no, I think that there are a lot of situations where you can explicitly say, yeah, that was rape, that was sexual assault, that was not okay. But he
Wow.
just wants to reduce it into like I guess we can never know, but like that's not true.
Do you think she's even being good faith right now? Wicked Supreme?
No, I don't think so. No. I mean, he's told me exactly why he made the video. He makes it out to be ambiguous to quote unquote start a conversation because
Wicked,
he's
why am I
he's
bad faith?
describing his shit as making art. That's what he does. He's not even gonna he's not gonna give you the clear cut answer. He's not gonna make a video where he says, hey guys, I'm just gonna tell you this random story where I definitely didn't rape someone or I definitely did rape someone. Like, even if he describes it that way, the whole point is to just like fucking get people to talk about, wait, what are the rules for when it is rape and when it isn't? If I go up to my wife and I say, I want to rape you, I'm going to rape you. Here I come, I'm going to rape you. And she says, actually, I consent. I actually want you to have sex with me. And then we finish, it's consensual sex. And then at the end, I say, yep, I raped you. Was it rape?
And that was art.
Was it rape?
You rape her and you're like, that's art.
Was it? Wait, was that rape though?
Wait, give me the example again. Say it.
I walk up to my wife and I say, I want to rape you. Here we go. I'm going to rape you. And she says, okay, I consent to sex. I want to have sex with you.
No, that's not rape then.
Oh my god, you cannot conflate.
Oh, there's a great
sexual
joke about this.
dynamics
Listen,
between
there's
Tinder
a
date and a married couple. But sorry.
Wait,
go
no,
for
it has nothing to do with a married couple. You're literally getting verbal consent. Go ahead, Dan. What's your joke?
oh god, it's not. It's funny now. There's too much. But anyways, that's fine. It's a.
What if she says no and then she nods?
Stop.
What the fuck?
Let Dan tell his joke.
Okay, I have to remember. It's like what is
No.
what? It's like a. God, hold on. I have to remember how it goes. 1 second.
Oh my god.
Oh, what is the what? Let's see. The sadist. What is the? God damn it!
This is painful.
Dan, we're all yikesing for you, dude. Are you okay?
Saying a mom joke or something. Just say a joke.
Just say a random joke, Dan.
Oh, the masochist said to the sadist, "Hurt me." The sadist replied back, "No." You understand?
No.
That was so
Thank you.
hilarious. Oh my god.
Thank you.
Because the masochist wants to be hurt, and the sadist loves to hurt people, and the way that he hurts people is by not
The
hurting
what? The
masochist.
sadist? The sadist?
Okay,
you sure
I have a
that-
question.
Yeah. What's up, raper? I mean, Wicked's
Whoa!
When did you decide that Max was a rapist? You've known about this story for a year.
You when you decided Max was a rapist.
I think
Steven?
the hardest point was listening to the video clip yesterday was wild. I'd never actually heard that one before. The only thing I think I'd heard was the video where he's talking to the woman on camera, and he presents it quite a bit differently there. But even on that video, I recommended that you should never do this because you have no way of knowing if you're raping somebody or not. And I think the exact example I gave was that
You're
even if-
right. I agree 100% with that.
but now, retrospectively,
Wait, let me just repeat what you just said. You never know if you're raping somebody or not. So you accept that there can be an or not in that
yeah,
exact
well,
situation.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think he ever.
But
Okay,
did
but in
it.
this
conversation
case,
over.
That.
No, hold on. That was before I'd seen the other video where he was way more explicit about what went down. Because Wicked
What was-
Supreme, in your
what's
world,
the difference in details between the two?
he was
videos?
literally saying, she said, first of all, she said something even more explicit, in my opinion. A no can be whatever, no, whatever. But if somebody says I'm not ready, that's even more explicit. And then I got the details of he just met her that morning. He wanted to skip foreplay because he didn't want to waste his fucking time with anything, blah, blah, blah. It made it sound like he was in a rush. It made it sound like she explicitly recognized they were in a rush and she wasn't comfortable with it. And they just met that
Well-
day. Now with all the added details, it looks a little bit more kind of iffy. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if we imagine certain details to be I don't know.
No,
If
okay,
he's
here's the
changing
question.
the characterization
It feels
of the
like-
story. We don't even know why.
Well, now it feels like it's possible that nobody could ever be a rapist, right?
No.
Wait, why not?
Well, first off, I'll say this: rape. It's incredibly difficult to
Well, how do you
establish
know-
whether.
Wait,
Go ahead.
I don't think so. But let's say that if somebody has sex with somebody after
Okay.
they get raped, can they never basically say they got raped? You're gonna say that oh, it's basically impossible to make that assertion?
Okay, if somebody gives you a verbal no, and then you think you receive a nonverbal yes, and then they're like, "Stop! What are you doing?" Or they're like, the guy says "Hey, is that a yes?" After the fact, and they say, "No, it wasn't." Then we can say that was rape.
What, have you ever considered what if they say it was just a prank, bro? Is it still rape?
Based and
It was
fact
art.
pilled. That's facts.
That changes everything.
That is facts. Wicked Supreme, do you acknowledge or no?
That is facts.
He doesn't even acknowledge. He's just trolling.
If you got this chick and you said, "Hey, was that look like a sign of consent?" And she said no, I'm happy. It's rape.
You're happy? Wow.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm happy.
You're happy that's rape?
Why wouldn't I be happy?
Jesus.
I don't think you need testimony. I don't know if the testimony from the other person is ever relevant in my eyes. But
The testimony can be wrong. It's not perfect. It's not like a
Wait,
granular,
who is the other person
objective
that
fact.
you're referring to in that case, Stephen?
who is? What do you say?
You just said I don't think the testimony from the other person is relevant. Who's the other person
It's
that you're referring
relevant.
to?
The victim.
It's
I
not
don't
irrelevant.
think the person, the victim. I don't think their testimony is relevant at all.
Wait, why not?
Wait, what?
Because I don't think it matters to them whether or not they thought they got raped. I don't think that matters.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Let's say that I meet a woman. I don't give a fuck what she wants. Maybe I give her a little bit too much to drink. I bring her back to my apartment. She's a little bit too drunk to really consent. She doesn't really know what's going on, but I fuck her anyway. We wake up the next morning. She's like, "Holy shit, did you drug and fuck me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did." And she's like, "Fuck, I was super into you. I'm actually happy you did it. Is that rape or no?" I would say easily. I would say that's crystal clear. Yeah, you raped somebody. Maybe they didn't get raped because they wanted it anyway.
True.
But like
Okay,
you
like
didn't
that,
know
then
because
yeah,
you didn't
I-
explicitly get the consent. You don't really know, and you don't really have the information to know. And there's no like ghost signal, but you do it anyway. I would say that you're.
What do you think, Wicked Supreme?
Okay,
Was that rape?
I think when you add alcohol into the mix, shit gets really, really weird. I know
No,
there's
no, but
Oh
that,
my
in that case,
God!
was that
Oh
rape?
my
Wicked
God,
Supreme,
say
was
it's
that
just
rape?
sleep or whatever else. I don't think the alcohol is changing anything
no,
here.
Listen, there's
I
an
think-
actual fucking legal.
You know, there's
history,
one
and this is
thing we
way
all
more
know
interesting.
here: never be alone around Wicked Supreme.
No,
That's for goddamn
I think
sure.
Wicked Supreme, you think that like rape could be like a victimless crime?
I do.
Almost.
I
What?
think I do. No, I do. He doesn't. I do.
Okay, Steven, you think that?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
well, now we don't know whose team we're on.
I guess is the problem that like I think Wicked Supreme, you're saying that like if it was rape, then we can't say that that's like categorically bad because there were still like positive feelings if we're to take Max at his
Huh?
word from this woman. Is that what you were saying?
No, I think for it to be rape, it has to be unconsented, unwanted sex.
Cringe.
Okay.
Wait, where's the disagreement? Is there an argument against that?
Oh, who just left?
Dan.
Oh, damn, being a loser again.
Well, since nobody has an argument against that, I don't know what to do. Just fucking take a walk with my W or what?
Wait, an argument against what?
Okay, rape is unconsented, unwanted sex.
Yeah,
Yes
I
or no?
disagreed with your definition.
Oh, okay. What's your definition?
That rape is when you have sex with somebody and they haven't given you the proper consent.
What is the proper consent?
It could be verbal, it could be nonverbal, it could be a contract, it could be a lot of different things.
But once the non-consent is verbal,
Mm-hmm.
the consent has to be verbal, or it's rape. In every
Once
situation.
the non-consent is verbal, yeah, almost for sure gonna have to be like with limited like
Damn.
restriction. Yeah, damn, I know, right? I'm gonna go out. Okay, I'm gonna do something really hard here, guys. Okay, I'm gonna draw a hard rule around this, and I don't normally do this. If somebody says no, I'm not ready, then in all circumstances, you probably shouldn't be putting your dick in them 5 seconds later. That's like gonna be my hard rule. Now, normally I make hard rules, and that might be a little bit of a stretch sometimes, but
Yeah. I don't know how long she was sitting up there. I
oh,
think-
maybe it was
Sitting up
hours.
Wait, do you know?
It sounds like it was within a matter of seconds.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, but I don't know. He's telling the fucking story. We're listening to Max tell the story
Okay,
in a way that's
from what
meant
he's
to be
saying-
divisive.
Well, good job. He divided me by making
No, he
himself out to be a
didn't.
rapist.
Well, yeah, you're right. He did divide you until he burned you, and then you were like, you know what? Actually, it's rape. On
I don't
second
know.
thought.
I've seen the video where at the end he's literally saying like, "I'm a rapist. I raped her."
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's his shtick. That's the whole point. He's trying to
Okay.
invite people to be like, wow, this guy's so refreshingly honest. He doesn't think he's a rapist. I've fucking talked to him before. He doesn't think he
that
Well,
was
raped
now
her.
the
he
only
doesn't.
thing that
He
people
called
could
it
fall back on
obviously
to
not
defend
rape
it.
when I talked to him about it. And listen, he's not the most reliable narrator, but he doesn't fucking tell the story to tell people that he's a rapist.
Okay.
You're just choosing that rhetorically now because you think it'll stick because people are mad at him. This shit sucks.
Gotcha.
Wicked, you're like coping so hard. You're like, I know he even
How am I
admitted to being a rapist, but trust me, he is not a rapist, despite what he said. Like, or
Dang.
like, you know, if he says he's not a rapist, then he's not a rapist.
True. Base.
I'm saying using his words against him doesn't necessarily make him a rapist because he doesn't even think he's a rapist.
Yeah.
Like him saying
No
that in one
rapist probably
conversation.
thinks they're a rapist, though.
It can be the case that he raped this woman. I never disagree with that.
Okay. Well, as long as there's.
Do you even know what you're arguing?
Yeah. Do you even know what you're arguing, Aaron? Are you actually pro rape here? Ooh. Burn.
the real questions? I don't think, Wicked, that you know what I'm arguing.
Ooh.
Because I don't know what you're arguing. It seems
hard-
a
it's
minute ago
hardly
you
an
didn't know whose
argument.
side you were on.
What? I'm not on a side. I'm on my own side. I didn't even know that there's a side to take. What, the pro-rape or anti-rape? If I'm anti-rape, how brave.
Okay, what's the statute of limitations? I'm curious about this, Destiny. You have a very
I don't give a
strong
fuck about
stance on-
legal shit. I don't care about legal
No,
shit.
I'm not asking about that. I'm asking what the time difference is, since you have a really strong stance on what concretely is definitely rape now. If somebody gives verbal non-consent, what if, like, an hour later, you guys go through escalating series of non-verbal consent? Is it rape then, or what?
An hour later? No, it's a totally different scenario at that point.
Okay, how about 1 minute later?
Well, it seems like it's still pretty related. I'd say I cut it off at about 13 minutes. So it's a good timeline to say, okay, we're in a new scenario now. 12, 13 minutes.
Well, you're so confident in your beliefs that you're going to joke about it.
Never mind. Actually, I think
Wow.
when girls say no and you keep doing it, that's the most base thing. That's my...
Well,
God, I love.
You keep
yes.
skipping over that detail. It's really important.
I know. I keep skipping over the fuck me eyes. I'm sorry.
Okay. Listen, man. Max fucking buried himself, in that drama with you as on the merits of his own poor behavior and in the face of your good conduct.
Yeah.
And like, you just didn't need to piss on his grave in this way, where you're just flipping on your interpretation of this video after a fucking year. It's so disappointing.
Okay.
He's disappointed that you won't just not say that he's a rapist. It's very disappointing.
You don't think it's
Wicked
possible
When you did it
you don't think
before.
it's possible to collect more information on a person and then kind of like reevaluate what happened later?
Yeah. Oh no, I don't think you can do that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Come on.
Bitch.
Of
There you
course.
go.
Come
you-
on. I
you
came
think
on my
you have
whole
enough-
audience. I ejaculate on all of them. That's what I do.
You think you have enough information that you can extrapolate some like psychoanalysis on the guy?
It's not a
over
psychoanalysis. It's really basic. The guy is horrible at reading people. He's an insane fucking narcissist. And he's a manipulative, abusive person. So now when I retroactively look at a story where he says like, well, she said no, but I looked at her eyes and I knew what she wanted and then I fucked her anyway. Now, with especially what's happened over the past like week or two, I guess it sucks that it happens to be like against
Okay,
me.
you
So
have
now it
to
looks
make up
biased.
details again. He didn't look at her eyes. He says that she gave him like a look or something like that.
what is the
we
difference?
We don't
How
know the
can you look
extent
at
of
someone
that.
Oh
using
my
eyes?
God. If she gave him a look and he saw the look, he was looking at her eye. Okay, her
You
face.
literally have to
He
fucking
looked her
make
in the
shit up.
He
How
he
do you
looked her
look
in the
at someone's
face.
eyes
No,
without
no.
using your own eyes,
He
Wicked?
looked her in the face, not in the eyes. Is that okay? I'm sorry. He looked
We
her in
don't
the
know if there was a gesture or anything in there.
Wait, what does a look mean?
You don't even know. You have no idea.
Wait,
That's
do you
the
think
point.
do you think a look can be a thumbs up?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a sneaky one. Okay.
Wait, hold on, Supreme.
What's up?
What changed your mind on Max?
I never called him a rapist. I'm consistent.
No, I'm not talking about whether you called him a rapist. I don't know the language you used, but after my conversation with Max, my first talk with Max, I told him it was a rape story, and he didn't allow me to share any like personal details, personal anecdotes, while he sort of like trauma dumped his shit on me. And you had like a really big problem with him after that. You didn't like the way that he spoke. You thought that
Yep,
you
all
thought
that's
his
true.
story was bad. That his
Okay,
story was
everything
wrongful.
Destiny
What
said about him.
changed- What
I've already said
changed
this.
for you?
I don't know how long you've been listening, but I've already said this. Everything Destiny said about him being narcissistic, bad at reading people, a manipulator, all that shit. I think all that's true, and I've thought that since our conversation. That I don't think you watched Destiny, but
Oh, I watched it
that's
now. Jerry just filled me in completely. She said you walked back everything.
Yeah, you were hard
Yeah,
defending
you
me,
did.
hard defending book smarts, the
Okay.
way that like Mr.
Now
Girl was
what?
talking to us, the harm of his
I'm not
stories.
playing team sports.
and-
I'm not a fucking fan of Max.
Wicked
No, it just-
hypocrite.
it
I
That's
don't
his
think
name.
he's a
you're giving
rapist.
Destiny a lot
Hypocrite
of shit
supreme.
for like changing his mind, but I think you've changed your mind. So
Yeah, he did.
Wait, I
What
just
made
told
you
you I've
change
never
yours?
thought he was a rapist.
He's doing the counter jerk.
no, Supreme, I'm gonna
I'm
be
not
honest.
changing
I
my
feel
mind.
like Destiny did this thing where he was super charitable to Max that's caused like rape confusion in this community. And the debate bros have fucking latched onto it to the point where like you guys heard that clip and you're still like, nah, you're calling him a rapist? He called himself a rapist, but bruh, you gonna trust him?
Drew. Sorry.
Okay, so you think I've changed my mind on this? I think Destiny's changed his mind. I've never called him a rapist over this. Destiny did not call him a rapist over it. Now he is.
No, I don't ever remember Steven saying that like, yeah, you should ignore the verbal no. I remember it being like, I remember not feeling disappointed in him because he acknowledged how difficult it is for a woman to even say no, like
I think
in an
that's true.
intimate setting. But you're making it seem like even though he makes space for there to be like a nuanced conversation, that he at all gave like a stamp of approval for like the harmful message that was said. Whereas you're kind of giving like, maybe not a stamp of approval, but like
I
you're
literally
giving
said
an
it's a
out.
bad prescription. I literally said what he did was incredibly risky. Like whether it's rape or
Being
not,
awful.
it's not something I would ever prescribe anybody do. I literally said it was a fucking horrible way to have sex and like to approach consent.
I agree. Rape is a horrible way to have sex. I'm sorry. I'm done.
It seems like the way that you're talking about it, it would be impossible for any woman to come forward more than likely and feel confident in saying that they were raped.
I I'm saying that if this woman did that, I would be, if she said, yeah, it was unconsensual, and the look that I gave him, it was not a sign of consent, I'd be like, yeah, it was rape.
Wicked, if a viewer listens to like Max tell that story and they came to the conclusion that like I think he did sound rapey, or like that did kind of sound like sexual assault, it's definitely like a gray area and it's not in his favor in this case, do you think it's unreasonable that a viewer would come to that conclusion?
Do I think it's unreasonable?
Yeah, because you have
especially...
like you said it sounds like you like have watched this video multiple times. It sounds like you know Max personally.
I know the video, and I've talked to him about the video.
Okay, so if you're a first-time viewer of like these clips, do you think it's unreasonable for a viewer to like see and say like, yeah, I don't think that exonerates him in the way that he thinks it does. Like he still sounds like a creep, and like he crossed like some sexual boundaries here.
Potentially.
Potentially.
Yeah,
you can't just give me that one.
Well, whether or not he crossed certain boundaries depends on how a person sets their boundaries and what their boundaries are, right?
Yeah, but do you think it's okay?
I mean, an
Okay.
easy litmus test is all of the
Elren.
people who thought that Flacco was ridiculous for saying that he was a rapist, which were his own words.
Yes.
Like
He didn't just say he was a rapist. Wasn't he calling like a
so-
pedophile like everything else? He was like throwing everything at him, right?
Yo, but Max calls himself a fucking pedophile. Like
Calls
it's
himself
not
a-
even
he calls
fair.
himself a rapist in that video too.
Yeah, it's not even fair for you to take like a normal person like Flacco when he's like, yo,
Well.
bro, you call yourself this. And you're like, yeah, this guy's virtue signaling. Like, bro, you put that out there about yourself.
Yikes.
Yeah.
I can't believe people would take him at his word.
But a lot of people were like yelling at Flacco, like, you're an idiot, you're virtue signaling. You just don't understand Max. He's an artist.
To be fair, like Flacco is actually an idiot. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, but he kind of is.
No, I
Fuck, never mind. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I don't mean to talk shit. Fuck, I feel bad.
Yeah, they watch you.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad. Just kidding.
You fucked up.
I think what the problem is that like people kept retreating back to like, wow, it's so refreshing, or like, oh, he's being hyperbolic, he's just joking, he's just being satirical or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's the mechanism of delivery for that story and the rhetoric that he was espousing. But that doesn't change the fact that like, yeah, he still could have been like dead on the money or like completely serious about the fact that like, oh yeah, I guess that's rape, or like it still could be rape, you know? Just because he says it hyperbolically doesn't change the facts of the matter.
Hold on, Calcifer, you dumb fuck. Every time I have spoken with Max was a fucking debate, you dipshit.
Ooh, called out.
Calcifer.
That guy just got called out bigly.
I don't know. I don't think Max was ever interested, from the like at length conversations that he had about this, at moving the needle beyond just like, okay, what's the bare minimum that you need for consent? And apparently it's fuck me eyes in some cases.
Wow.
I don't think he was endorsing that sexual encounter. He literally calls it rolling the dice and describes it as if it's risky and says it's technically and legally rape. I don't even agree with him about those last two details. But it's not like he made it ambiguous and said, see guys, it's all okay, because she gave me the eyes.
I feel like he kind of said it was okay.
I think, yeah, by like framing it in the context of the conversation
He
was having,
He called it rape, and then he said he was rapist in the second
Yeah, but
video.
the implication is like, yeah, you know, maybe some kind of rape is okay.
He
Yeah.
also didn't
Come
just say,
on.
he didn't just say they were fuck me eyes. They were like, I need to do this or else I'm a pussy.
Oh, yeah, I've heard him say like a version of the
Ooh.
story that involved that, which is even more toxic.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wicked Supreme.
It's concerning coming from Max for sure.
Concerning coming from a
Coming from Max, from
Raper.
anyone.
Well, once something is concerning, that's it. The rape guns are fucking loaded.
raper. Well, only when you're
I think it's
raping.
I think most people will look at Max and be concerned. It's when it's like the reasonable people around me that run defense for it. That's like a bit alarming.
I'm only running defense against calling someone a rapist over a fucking story that you don't even know happened.
Wait, Wicked, you don't think
No, I
that
think
like
you-
there's legal grounds for calling that rape? Because
No,
I think
'cause
if that woman had
Supreme-
pressed charges, he would be in jail. Or there was a chance at least.
Okay,
Supreme,
well, if you think
you
he's a
got the
rapist, press
story.
charges. Show me you
No,
actually believe he's a
This
rapist.
is what he did on No Jumper. He literally was like, oh, if you really think
Yeah,
I'm a
and I
rapist,
think
why aren't
he's
you calling
right.
911?
I think his whole point is that you don't
That's
actually think I'm a
based.
rapist. You're just saying this shit.
No, Supreme, I don't think that you're concerned about using the word rapist. You're concerned about this being some sort of spite-driven, like, change in heart
True.
from
I think
Destiny.
that's the
Because
motivation.
your initial reaction to Max was not well, not from this story.
When did
not
I call
in
him a
his-
rapist?
Yeah, Cherry.
I would have to go back and see if you've ever used that language. I can't say if you have or haven't.
Really? You can just imagine
No,
me
I-
just frivolously calling someone a rapist?
If you covered my conversation with him, I directly tell him he told a rape story. So no, I don't know exactly what you said. I'll have to go back and watch. I know I used that language. So if you were in defense and like supporting my stance, that maybe you did.
I think whether or not it was rape hinges on whether it was unconsented and unwanted. And I accept that some signs of consent can be verbal or nonverbal, even after a verbal non-consent can be given.
Ooh.
Well, sounds like nobody has an argument against that.
No,
we all
I
have,
feel like-
we all have,
Hold on,
we
wait,
all
to
have
be
the
clear.
same argument.
I already gave you my argument against it. I don't agree with that form of consent, and you wouldn't engage with my hypothetical because you said, "Oh, it's too complicated."
What?
Yeah.
What do
It's-
you mean I wouldn't agree with that hypothetical?
Number one,
I
okay,
said-
can there be a victimless rape?
Can there be a victimless rape?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I can't give it. Can you walk me through some examples?
Sure. Let's say
Yeah.
that let's say that I walk into a bedroom and I see a girl laying in my bed, and
You give someone surprise sex and
Yeah.
they end up liking it.
yeah, and they end
Sure.
up liking it. Yeah.
Surprise sex is one
Was
thing.
that
That's
but
what
like
it's called.
I explicitly know that like they haven't talked to me about this, and maybe they've even said in the past like, oof, like I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think I'd like that, but I do it anyway, and they wake up and they like it.
Sure. Two things. I would be comfortable calling that sexual misconduct. I don't know if I would be comfortable calling someone a rapist for that, because that happens between couples and like married couples.
I'm
and shit.
ejaculating in my audience right now. Oh, thank you.
Can you
Listen,
Stop.
when I call someone a rapist, what do you
Jesus.
what do you get in your head? Like, what's the image you get in your head?
Well, Max's face appears, and he's got that creepy fucking smile on
God,
it.
it's so disappointing. You don't actually want to have this conversation. So-
I do want to have the conversation, but you are fucking.
Then have it.
Okay, if I walk in, I fuck somebody in their sleep after they said they don't really want that to happen, and they wake up and they said, "Oh, you know what? I kind of enjoyed that. Did I rape somebody?"
I
Okay,
asked you
let's
a
try this.
question. I told you I don't have a clear
Okay,
answer
well,
to whether
okay.
or not that's
Then what's
definitely
your-
rape. I
okay.
said I'd be happy calling that sexual misconduct. And I don't know if I would call someone a rapist over something like that.
Okay, I don't know if you're gonna call him a rapist or not. We can make new words for it, but like,
This whole conversation is that you're calling someone a rapist. That's what this whole conversation's about.
Max is way over the line of the accidentally having sex
kid,
with a
how about-
sleeping person. Max is fucking somebody that's literally that he met 12 hours earlier that says, "I'm not ready." That's a way different story. I'm just trying to see if I can get you on, like, will you
Stop.
agree that there could be a victimless rape? Because there can absolutely be victimless
Having
rapes.
to misconstrue the details of the story in order to get away with
Oh
this.
my god. What did I misconstrue there?
Okay, he met someone 12 hours ago, right? They went to have sex. She took off all her clothes and sat like 1 inch off of his cock and then said, "Wait, I'm not ready." And then apparently he says the whole story is told through his narration anyway, right? Every detail we have to accept because it's all fucking coming from him. You can doubt some of the details or think that he's injecting them, or you can question if the story ever happened. But after the verbal non-consent, he says he thinks he received non-verbal consent. And then they have sex. He says there's no negative signs, and then she has to have sex again.
He says.
The whole story is he says.
I know exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you're not interested in exploring any alternative like POVs except Max's. You just want to keep retreating back to like that's the way that he explained it. That must.
That's
like,
the only reason we know of this situation. We don't even know
I know,
if
but-
it happened. If you're asking me like, well, maybe some of his details are wrong. Yeah, maybe the whole fucking thing is fake.
I'm just still curious if can there be a victimless rape? That's all I want to know.
I don't know the answer to
Well,
that.
if we don't know the answer to
I'm not here
that,
to argue that. 'cause
Well,
I
if we don't know
know
the answer to that, then it kind of makes the rest of the story moot. Because you're going to say
that's
that a
why I'm
person can
asking-
retroactively say like, "Oh, well, I enjoyed it, so therefore it wasn't rape." That's
it's
kind of an
not
important
that they
part of the story.
retroactively say that they enjoyed it. It would hinge on whether the insertion, at the point of insertion, it was consensual and wanted. And I don't know why you keep skipping over this. It's awfully convenient for the side of the argument that you want to take, but it seems like there's confusion over whether or not the signal that she gave of
Okay,
consent
fine.
was
Let's do
valid.
Let's do a different analogy. Is it possible that you could consent to sex and want it but still be raped? Let's say,
No.
for instance, okay, then let's do this one. I'm going to hook up with a girl. We get to my place at the night, and she's like, "Oof, I don't think I want to fuck." And I'm like, "We're fucking." We get to the couch. I take her panties off, and she's like, "I really don't want this." And then you're like, "No, I do." And then I fuck her, finish. We're on the couch after. She's like, "I really like that. I actually did want it the whole time. Like, thanks." Did I rape somebody or no?
She didn't consent.
No,
And
she
that's
did.
actually that's actually the
my
question.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're saying she gave a verbal no. She gave a verbal sign of non-consent, but then secretly she wanted it or something like that.
Yes.
That one's actually rough. And I think there is a decent case that I think whether or not it's rape is whether or not a person consents, right? And it's wanted, and it's best to receive a sign of that consent. I think consent can be internal, right? I don't know. That one's
No,
rough.
it can't be. That's the whole point. And consent can't be internal. That's the difference between our definitions. And my definition, I'm saying that consent existing doesn't even matter. Consent has to be given. That's
Okay.
the point.
If I understand that definition of rape, and I can adopt that definition of rape, that if no consent is ever given, verbal or nonverbal, and verbal non-consent is given, if we're using that definition of rape, it still doesn't match Max's situation.
It does because she literally said no.
It doesn't because she literally gave a sign that he interpreted as consent, and he could have been wrong, but she
Okay,
could have
but then in that
given that
case-
sign in that way.
But then in that case, every single person should be exonerated from rape. Because
Why do you say that?
Because anybody could say, well, she said no, but the way that she was wiggling her body around, she wanted it. So I got the nonverbal consent. Everybody could just say that. No?
It's tough. It's an
Well, it's
incredibly
not
difficult
tough,
thing
it's
to
super
do. It
easy.
is fucking tough. You want to
Okay.
hear why it's tough? I don't know why that drives you fucking crazy.
It drives me
Yeah.
crazy because it's very rare that you get a verbal no. And if a woman has the actual balls to say no.
I know your argument. You don't have to repeat it for the fucking 13th time. I don't know why we keep skipping over this detail about
The eyes.
She gave us. Yeah.
For the thumbs
She's
up.
allowed to choose her own fucking form of consent, right?
No,
It
she's
seems like
not.
you-
know
No,
you
she's
said-
not.
that she did.
You said
He
it's
said,
completely-
I interpreted it.
Straight Ray, what the fuck are you doing in here?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Just get the fuck out.
I got him.
Can I ask you, Wicked, do you think it's reasonable to challenge or doubt Max's story? Because the way that you're so resistant to anybody deviating from just the way that Max told it, I don't think that,
I
you think
literally
there's
think
any
we
room
need
to
the
keep
chick's
it?
testimony to get a more informed opinion on whether or not it was rape.
And she's the only person who could, challenge Max's narrative
She's the
on this.
only one who can tell us if she consented or not.
Okay, so you don't think that it's, fair for, Destiny or Cherry or, anybody else to say, well, what if, just even challenge and just not take him at his word?
He doesn't mean it. We know that he doesn't mean it. We know it from the Flacco interview. I know it because I
How-
talked to him about this in private, and he said it's obviously not rape. The whole point is to get people questioning when does it become rape? What are the essential factors for rape, and what what needs to be missing, what needs to be present.
Okay. Well,
Do you think that could be a response to criticism?
What?
So when he puts out content like that and then gets pushed back and told that this is really harmful, you look like a rapist, and then he says, no, this is actually just to spark conversation.
Okay.
Do you think that overrides the content whatsoever?
Do I think that it overrides the content? I think that can be his stated intention, and I think that can be the intention when he made the video. The only reason we know about this is because he volunteered the content, the entire story, and put it up on his channel that Destiny himself fucking 2 weeks ago said was art.
Wait, hold on. You can still be art and rape at the same time. Go ahead.
That's true.
It seems like there's no real winning for you against you, because you either use his own words, or then if I don't like those words and I'm saying that they still look and sound like rape, you tell me, well, Max is not a reliable narrator anyway. You can't have all of that.
Yeah, you're right. It should be hard to win against me to call somebody a rapist if you don't have any evidence that they raped somebody.
Okay,
When somebody says that they raped someone, it should not be hard to accept that they're a rapist. That's
because
what
you're saying
should
we don't
not
have any
be
evidence. He
impossible
literally
here.
said, yeah, I raped her. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm a rapist.
you know what? I've got
We can
evidence
hear
that
that,
you wanted Proud Boys to mow down dipshit protesters. So I guess
if
we
they
can
were
just
gonna
go with
if they
that.
were gonna go burn down fucking houses, yeah. Protesters that are setting buildings on fire, yeah.
Damn.
I don't
thought the whole point
understand
of
why
that.
I'm supposed to listen to the rape story, but when another part of that rape story is him saying, "Yeah, I am a rapist," I literally am.
But
I'm supposed
he
to
didn't
ignore
mean that
of
part
the
though.
story.
He didn't mean that part. That's what you're.
Yeah, just only focus on the first part of the story. But when he gets to the point where he
Okay,
says,
I'm asking you. Do you think he
Okay.
believes it? Do you think he believes it's rape?
I'm not an empath.
That's what I fucking thought. That's what I
No, no, no,
fucking
no.
thought.
Well, we're
Because
supposed
If you're
again,
trying to use
he
that
was
as an
trying to-
argument for he definitely
No.
means it, and I'm
No.
asking you, do you think he means it? And you say, then why the fuck are you bringing it up?
True. Smash this
Because
fucking dumbass.
I think the purpose of that beautiful piece of art that Max produced was to say that maybe if it is rape, fine, it's rape, but then some rape is good.
Huh?
So yeah,
Yeah. True. Based. And rape pill.
because he was trying to deliberately like misconstrue like what rape means.
No, I don't think he was trying to deliberately misconstrue what rape means. Where do you get that? He says it's fucking in the thing. He's like, technically it's rape, legally it's rape. I just don't even think he's right about that.
Yeah, but he's trying to say like, but like morally, like nothing wrong here happened. So like, I guess some rapes can be okay.
We don't know that it's rape. He's not saying this rape was okay. I don't think that's the point of the video. It's not even his bespoke like intention for the video.
What is the bespoke purchase or purpose then? Jesus.
Read you the DM.
Here, I have a question. Supreme, how would you feel if the woman comes forward and she says, yo, he raped me and I can't believe that this fucker put that story out there.
What do you think I would say?
traumatized.
Do you think I've weighed in on this like 5 times in this conversation? What do
I
you
have
think
no
I would
idea.
say?
I have no
Okay.
idea.
Well, I'll say it again. If she
Okay.
came forward and said, no, that look that he talks about, I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about, and whatever thing I did was not a sign of consent, I would say it's rape.
Oh my god.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you right now, Screen. Sorry. Go.
Okay, so for you, not until the woman comes forward and co-signs everything, is it like rape to you?
The point is, there's confusion.
Dude, these lab DMs are fucking wild. What about this NDA you signed? I've never signed an NDA. I would never sign an NDA. You can burn me at the stake. I don't know what the context of that message was, but it was fucky. You clearly said you signed an NDA. Lavloon. I would if I could, believe me. NDA. Wait, she signed an NDA? I did. I must have said it to something else because I literally didn't, LOL. Oh, the lab cycle. Oh, she's intelligent, an intelligent growing flower. Oh, the lab cycle.
If you guys want your arguments to be heard, you're going to have to wait.
Sorry, what happened?
I don't care.
It's not an accusation of like calling Max rape though. Like he literally owned
Calling
that.
someone a rapist is an accusation of rape.
No, but he said that himself. That's what he said.
Okay, if we're going to appeal to what he said, I'm going to show you what he said about it.
And that's one of the things that
Are
he
you going to
said.
accept that?
Oh, like the DMs or something or what?
Wicked Supreme, are you old and growing?
I don't know what the fuck that means.
I'm sorry.
Oh, is that one of those you pulled up DMs?
No, what? I'm just curious. I'm just curious if you're growing. Wait, who just left?
I gotta be honest, this went exactly how I thought it would, where I
Good.
bring the arguments and you would just meme and fucking giggle through the whole thing.
I presented you with a couple of serious objections, and you won't even consider them. That's what's happened so
Wait,
far.
okay,
You will
what
not
won't I
consider if
consider?
rape can be a victimless crime, which is absolutely true. It absolutely
Consider it.
can
I
be.
asked you for examples.
I gave you it. I gave you multiple examples. You said, well, that's hard. I can't compare sleeping. That's hard. I can't compare alcohol. That's hard. I can't. You said that multiple times. You won't even consider that.
Wait,
you
is
won't
that not
consider...
fair?
No, it's not, because you won't consider any hypotheticals. You won't consider a single...
No, I didn't. Hold on a minute. Every time I fucking say, well, hang on, like, that's really tough, Straight Ray jumps in and starts
Okay,
yelling. Cherry
so
jumps
then-
in and starts yelling. I want to
Sure.
fucking discuss
Okay.
every detail.
Sure.
I want to discuss
Here's what-
every element of
Sure.
those things. I want to have a fucking discussion
Okay,
about it.
here's what you need
Don't
to
tell
do.
me I won't consider it.
Okay.
Fuck.
Here's what you need to
Okay.
do. You need to say, Destiny, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Give me an hour or two to think on it, and I'll come back when I have any fucking clue.
No,
what's
I
wrong.
wanna
Because-
hear your
no,
arguments.
I gave you the argument, but you just
You
came in.
won't.
No,
You
stop,
don't.
stop.
I don't get a
Hold on.
chance to ever fucking.
You have the chance. I'll give it to you one more
No,
time. Hold
okay.
on. This is
Let's
post
do it.
Max Destiny, so I'm not going to
You
let
gotta
people...
get Straight Ray
Hold on.
out of here, though.
No, no.
Because she's gonna fucking
Okay,
jump
Aaron,
in the
don't
moment
say
I
anything.
say something.
Aaron, don't say anything. Okay, hold on. Okay. I'm less charitable now. Post Max, post Live Destiny, okay? So I'm going to hold you to this. You just said that I'm giggling through it. I'm giggling because you're caught and you won't give a fucking answer. So the question
What?
is... No, okay, I'm asking you. The question is there a such thing as a victimless rape? One of the examples I give is, you've got a girlfriend/wife, and she says, I don't really think I'd be into, like, sleep sex. I don't think I'd like it. She goes to sleep, you go to sleep, you fuck her in the middle of the night, she wakes up, she's actually kind of into it. You finish, and she's like, you know what? Actually, I am into it. I liked that. Did you rape somebody? Was there a rape that took place with no victim because she ended up liking it?
Yeah. So I did answer this. Do you remember my answer?
Nope. Say it again.
Okay. I would be happy calling that some form of sexual misconduct. But this sort of thing is actually like...
What kind of sexual misconduct? I don't care if it's
I
common.
don't know if I would call it rape. I don't know if I would call it rape.
Well, okay, why not?
Okay, because whether or not somebody consents, dang, like, I think, you know what? If I remember correctly, I think I said I would use your definition of rape. Even if I called this rape here, it's still not analogous to the Max situation. Do you remember that? Wait, did I not say this?
I don't care. Right now, I'm trying to figure out if you think there can be a victimless rape. That's the only thing.
I'm telling you. Okay, yeah, sure. And you gave me an example, and
that's
I'm saying,
great.
I don't know if
you don't even have to agree with me yet. You might still disagree, but that's just fine. I just want to be on that page that there can indeed be victimless rapes, right?
I don't know, but I'm not convinced.
Dodge.
It's not a dodge. I'm not convinced, and I'm not convinced that rape would be the term used there. I'm curious how that would shake out legally.
Okay, here's another thing, okay? I go into my bedroom, okay? Let's say that Melina has a friend staying over, okay? She's got a friend staying over, and it's really late, and I think that they just got home drinking, and I think I can fuck her friend, okay? I go into the living room, and I see that she's under the covers. She's asleep on the couch. I pull the covers up, and I fuck her, and then I pull out, and then I go into the bedroom, okay? I finish, I go into the bedroom, and I see, holy shit, Melina's friend is sleeping in our bedroom. And I go back out to the living room, and Melina kind of like wakes up. She's like, oh shit, did you fuck me when I sleep? Nice job. And I'm like, yeah. Did I rape somebody there? Or was it not rape because I made a mistake?
You know what? I think I'm comfortable calling it rape. If you have sex with somebody and they haven't presented any consent, then yeah, I'm comfortable calling that rape in this situation. Even if they ended up liking it because you did the penetration, the insertion was performed without consent.
Okay.
Even if there's no victim, sure.
Gotcha.
I think I can sign off on this.
All right.
Yep.
So then, now when we move to the Mac example, so now we can toss some things out. One is, I don't care if she enjoyed it. So I don't need her testimony. I don't actually care at all what her testimony is. I don't care if she enjoyed it.
Whether or not she enjoyed it.
Well, no, but you were saying like, well, she came back a second time, which made it sound like
that's evidence that it seems like it could be. It seems actually pretty likely that if she gave some sort of look, that it may have been the exact sort of sign of consent that Max interpreted it as.
Okay.
And it may not have. And if it wasn't, it was rape. And if it was, it wasn't rape.
Okay. So the question is then, can we think of types of looks that you could get where somebody could be on top of you in a scenario where they met you 12 hours ago, you're naked, you're at the house, you've admitted to skipping the foreplay, you want to get to the sex as quickly as possible. The person is on top of you and you are ready to slide in and they say, I'm not ready. And then they look at you in a certain way. Is there any possible way in 5 to 10 seconds that you could get adequate nonverbal consent that doesn't involve like a literal thumbs up?
Is there any? Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I disagree there.
Could have been a fucking squint and nod. Who the fuck knows?
Sure. No. That's why I said aside from a literal thumbs up. So like a nod, yes, a nod, thumbs up,
or some sort of head movement, or like subtle gesture.
Subtle gesture, no. After they've explicitly said no verbally, I don't think a subtle nonverbal is going to override an explicit verbal. I disagree with that.
I wouldn't accept it. I'm with you. And I think it's
okay,
bad.
No. It's not about accepting. I don't care about you. It's not. It's about whether I would consider that to be rape or not. I would say that if the person explicitly said no, you're going to need either an incredibly explicit nonverbal cue or you're going to need an explicit verbal cue afterwards. Anything else, I would say is rape.
Whether or not, it's about how the signal was intended. That's how language works. Know. I know we've talked about this.
Okay. You're going into an area, you can talk as much as you want on this, but I'm never going to agree. I don't care about the intention of the person.
I don't think
whatever.
She gave a signal.
Chill, stop. Hold on, wait. For Wicked Scream.
Okay, what is the minimum? What is the absolute minimum of what is nonverbal consent that you would agree is consent?
The absolute, I don't know. There can be tons of minimums. It might just be the fact that they go home with you and you're kind of like putting on the moods and they're not really resisting at all. They're kind of going along with it. That could be enough.
The problem is you're saying that in this situation, you know for sure that she was behind the minimum.
Bro, I'm going to kill myself. We're not talking. Yes. Because there's one huge factor here that you keep saying like, well, what about all these other nonverbals? It's the fact that she verbally explicitly said no. Once that happens, it's a whole other ball game. You keep asking me, like, are there any types of nonverbals, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, there's tons of nonverbal. And you even asked me. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so now tell me what the minimum is now that she's given a verbal no. What is the minimum nonverbal signal that she can give?
The minimum nonverbal will be like, well, like her initiating the sex. Her maybe like, she nods her head. She's like, yeah, she nods her head, gives a thumbs up or whatever. It's going to be hard. There's going to be a lot. You're laughing, but you're trying to overcome a verbal no. That's fucking huge.
I'm not trying to overcome it. I'm trying to say we don't even fucking know what the gesture was. We know this guy's fucking characterization of it. We don't even know what it was. You just said it could have
Wait,
been a
why
nod
are
to the
we
head.
implying a
What if there
gesture?
was a nod?
He didn't say there was a nod.
Okay.
No, he said a look in the eyes.
He did
That's
say a
it.
look in the
Sure.
eyes.
The point is,
interpreted.
she
You're
said
making
she,
up gesture right now. Like,
It
why?
can be the case that she sent a signal that she intended to be consent, and you're saying, I don't care what she intended.
True.
It's not good enough for
Yes.
me.
True. Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct. Or for what I would consider to be rape or not. That is true. So, for instance, if a girl says, "Well, my signal that I really want sex is I kind of like wiggle my shoulders back and forth." So, if a woman was thrown onto a bed and she said no 15 years, like, "No, you better not fuck me. Don't do it. No." But then she wiggled her shoulders and then the guy fucked her anyway, and she's like, "Well, no, I don't think he raped me because I gave him the shoulder wiggle." I'd say, "No, what the fuck? He raped you. Maybe you
Yeah,
didn't feel
of
raped." or whatever.
course.
Okay,
I
so
would-
so
I
her
would say that that's
intention
rape too.
is irrelevant. I don't actually care at all what that woman would
Well,
say. I
it's
don't
not
care at all.
irrelevant.
Thanks for the shout out.
It is irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant. No,
It
it's
is
not
irrelevant. Yes.
Okay, let's hear what irrelevant has to say about
My
that.
stocks are high.
I'm
Welcome. I came in because it seems like there might be a little bit of a maybe possible confusion over Destiny. Do you not see there to be a difference between? Well, you said you don't care about the intent. I feel like the intent matters when we're condemning the individual for being a rapist.
I don't.
Does it not?
No.
Really? The
We're talking
individual's
about,
character?
No, wait. We're talking about the intention of the victim. I don't care
okay.
about the intention of the victim. If the victim intended one thing or another, I don't care. I'm talking about the
Okay,
intention of the rapist.
So what?
Raper.
Yeah. So the intention of Max, shouldn't that matter as to the moral condemnation of his actions?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so when we're calling Max a rapist and we're impugning his character, shouldn't we call into question whether or not his intentions when he went through with that action, or what he could reasonably infer from the actions that are occurring?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, great. So if we establish that,
Hold
then
on, real quick.
I-
Do you see
Go
how
ahead.
irrelevant just laid out a whole bunch of things, and I was able to be like, yeah, for sure. And I'd be like, that's hard. I don't know. I'm not sure. But go ahead. So I just wanted to
Hang on, hold on, fucker. Is it not fair for me to do that and ask you to walk me through some scenarios? Is that not what you want? You want me to just fucking make hard and fast decisions on shit, whether or not it's completely brazen?
Look at how triggered you just got. It's because you got caught, son. Okay. Go ahead.
So
relevant. Relevant.
Thank you for so many shout outs, by the way. My stocks are way up.
For now.
For now. So when you call, let's just get this straight because I came in a little bit late. Do you believe Max is a rapist?
I believe he raped. Does that make you a rapist?
Is he a rapist?
Well, I believe he raped
what I-
someone. Does that make you a rapist?
Are we getting slimy like Supreme here? Is
Well,
he a
that's
rapist?
like, if somebody murdered one person, are they a murderer? Like, sure.
I don't
Yes.
know, nigga.
Then
Is
yes.
he a rapist?
Don't ever call me that here. We don't use the N-word here unless I'm allowed to. So we are going to say that he is a rapist,
Wait,
yes.
go for it. I'll give you the pass, bro. Go
No,
ahead.
He is a rapist. Go.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he is a rapist. So then you would agree then that is an indictment of his character? Like he had some intentionality to his actions.
Yeah, the intentionality, as you said before, can come through some form of like gross negligence, right? Yeah.
Okay. Sure, some gross negligence. And you believe the gross negligence was him using, if I gathered correctly, the look in the eye as his barometer for consent.
After receiving a verbal
After
no.
receiving-
Yes.
Yes, after receiving a verbal no. And I agree with you that it does change the context of what can be taken as a yes after you've received a verbal no.
Sure.
I think it is an agreeable point.
Absolutely.
So, I think one thing that Supreme said that's true, though,
Yeah.
is when we're talking about the moral indictment of Mrgirl's character on this, whether or not he rightfully did interpret the signal that this individual was putting out is, I think it is relevant whether or not the individual believes that it was rape after the fact. So I agree with you in the idea.
Hold on.
that,
Can you
like,
restate that? I have no fucking idea what we just said.
Yeah, I rambled a bit there. Whether or not the victim believed that it was rape after the fact will give us a hint as to whether or not Max actually accurately understood the social cues. Is that a little better?
It can flesh out the story a little bit more, but ultimately, no, I don't think so. No.
Really? So if Max did accurately read, because that's the point in question. You don't think there is any correlation between whether or not Max interpreted this woman's signals correctly as to
The only reason why I say it
what-
depends on the story is because, like, if the woman were to say something like, "Oh yeah, I nodded my head like 3 times and gave him the thumbs up," then I would say, yeah, sure. But if she was like, no, usually I'll give kind of people a wink, and then I'll say no, but I'll give people a wink, and I think that's like my go sign, I would say, I don't care about your testimony. You're having rapists have sex with you and you enjoy it. That's what I would say.
So I'm not sure that's relevant. Well, maybe it is. So you think that negates whether or not Mrgirl got a good read on whether she was consenting in the moment? Because I feel like a big part of the indictment of the character is that he misread the nonverbal cues from
I don't
this
even
woman.
believe he misread the nonverbal cues. I think he
so-
was just reading whatever the fuck he wanted to. But if somebody gives you an explicit no on this time frame where you don't even know the person, and then you're saying, well, they gave me a look in their eyes afterward, I don't even care what the person's intention was. You're basically just like looking for rapists, and then you're getting off on people like fucking you because they're rapists, and you like that, which is fine.
Listen,
guess.
I agree with you. This is why my prescription is to, just always go for the.
Wait, what
verbal
part? If
shit
you
in
just said
that
you
moment.
agree with me, then what are we arguing about? What part?
Well,
You must disagree with some part of it.
What I agree with you is about the prescription and how people materially end up using these things, not necessarily whether or not he should be impugned for rape. I think he committed an act. The actual action would be materially rape. It's whether or not I can say he's a rapist.
Okay, well, what's the difference? What is a rapist? Versus...
Because when we're talking about the intention of somebody's actions and whether or not they're the it's like what you said earlier with
Wait, why does the intention matter at all?
Because it's whether or not we can impugn him on the grounds that he himself intended to rape.
Okay, well then let's say that I think that like it's totally normal to get a woman like blackout drunk before I fuck him because that's just kind of like the culture of my college. Am I like a rapist or not really? Because that's just like the culture.
Yeah, I'd say so. Because your culture, the intention of your culture.
Whoa. But now we're removing the intention from the individual. We're talking about intention of the culture. Now it sounds like we don't care about the intention of the individual.
You just said culture though, because of the culture. And so the intention of the culture that you perpetuate, no?
Well, then I would say the intention of Max. Then I would say the intention of Max's culture, then of like just like hearing a verbal no and then still going for it afterwards.
Okay, so the example I was trying to bring up was the previous one that you said of somebody going into a room. Somebody's blackout drunk or whatever. You come up, you fuck them. They say, "Wow, thumbs up later," right? They give you the thumbs up later. I think whether or not somebody is a rapist will be whether or not somebody feels raped doesn't mean that the person who did that to them is a rapist. Do you understand? Do you agree with that?
Doesn't mean that the person who... Yeah, I think that's what I already said.
Okay. So then if that is true, then wouldn't you agree with the idea that raping somebody doesn't automatically make you a rapist in the same way we mean when we talk about, like, for instance, intentional rape?
I don't know how those two things connected at all. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hit me up.
So there's individuals that intend to rape people and there's individuals who don't, who do it by, accident.
Negligence.
Yeah, negligence or whatever. And those are two separate groups. Do you agree with that statement?
People that unintentionally rape versus people that intentionally rape?
Yeah, as we've described it in these examples.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah.
Do you believe that Max is an intentional rapist?
Oh man, that's
the
problem is like, where does the intention come from? Because again, if I go back to that drunk one, what if the guy's legitimately like, well, I really thought that like girls just like to get blackout drunk and that's how they have sex. Like that's how I've always heard everybody say it. So like, are you an intentional or unintentional rapist at that point?
I would say it's intentional, not based on. I would say just based on the reasonability for somebody to go through their life and not be able to do that. Technically, is it possible? Sure.
Well, then I feel like we've made it
hypothetical,
but we've made intentional, unintentional mean anything now at this point. Like,
no, it's about the reasonability of whether or not you're so sheltered that you know to not.
Well, if we say reasonability, I'm going to say reasonably. When somebody says no, that means no. Especially for somebody you just met that day.
That's absolutely fine, but that's not the question that I'm trying to ask. The question that I'm trying to ask is whether or not you would put Max in the same category as somebody that like sees a completely blacked out woman and then walks up and rapes them.
Yeah.
In comparison to you would?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. You think there's no meaningful difference between
I think that somebody in Max's position, giving the argument that he's given now, could say something like, well, yeah, of course, the reason why she got blackout drunk is because earlier she really wanted to fuck me, but she couldn't get over her nerves and anxiety to do it, so she got really drunk with the assumption that like later I would, obviously. That's what he would say, I think. Yes, it's the same line of reasoning.
I'm sorry, run me back through that line of reasoning?
Max would say the reason why they got blackout drunk is because they wanted me to fuck them, but they were too nervous or anxious to do it before. But the alcohol helped them like get over that. So obviously, I'm not raping them. It's what they wanted me to do. I think that's what he would say.
And you think that's the logical extension of the nonverbal argument?
Hold on. Okay, you guys keep saying nonverbal argument. My problem hasn't had anything to do with it being nonverbal. It was nonverbal after a verbal no. It's a
correct.
huge difference.
Yes, I agree.
So, yes, I think his argument's the same thing. He said, okay, she said no. You know, they were blackout drunk, but she was giving me kind of a look. But why would she get blackout drunk at my place? Right? Like, so even though she said no, or she was blackout drunk, like, I think they were giving me a look, or they got so wasted. They're like, obviously, I think they wanted me to fuck them. That's why they were at blackout drunk on my couch. Yeah, I think the logic is the same. I think it's a 1-to-1 carryover. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't really agree with that, because in the case of being blackout drunk, there is nothing that you can possibly do to re-give consent in that situation. But when you are, cognitively aware, you are able to re-give consent. So there is no circumstance when you're blackout drunk where you can ethically go back and, oh yeah, let's fuck that person. But in the case of, you being cognitive, there absolutely is. I think the question is just a degree here. I can agree and I can break bread with the idea that that it was a rape, in that he took a strong verbal no, and that he turned that into a sexual interaction. I can break bread with that, but I don't break bread with the idea that that is 1-to-1 the same as like somebody just walking up to somebody completely passed out on the couch and going like, oh yeah, here we go.
Okay.
I don't think that's the same. I think
fine. I think Max's is either the same, or Max's might even be a little worse. Yeah.
Really? Worse than that?
Giving a verbal no is really hard for most people. Like, you're an exceptional woman if you can get that far and still say no. That takes a lot to say no at that point.
I agree.
So the fact that a verbal no is given, you're going to need way, way, way more to overcome that than just like a fucking wink. That's insane to me. Like, it's not like this whole conversation is fucking insane to me.
So wait, now we're in a weird position though.
We're not.
There's a couple things. Well, we are, because now you're basically saying that whether or not it's rape depends on whether or not the woman gives a strong enough signal for destiny.
Yeah, I'm the only person that has any.
How it works,
I am the only person that has any understanding of like reasonable signals that you can give for sex. What?
Okay, but the intention of what the signal's supposed to mean and what the signal can be, as long as it's presented in some way, is just out for you. Like, but when I asked you for a minimum, you said, I don't know, it could be a lot of things.
Because it's not just about a minimum. It's about a minimum to overcome a verbal no.
Yeah, it is about that.
That minimum is going to be high, huge.
Well, you said it could be a nod. You said I don't know. It could be a lot of things.
I know.
That's why I'm just asking.
I didn't. I literally said it could be like nodding your head like 5 times. It's not going to be like a little. It's not going to be subtle. You cannot. Here's a hard rule I give you. You cannot overcome a verbal no with a subtle body language yes. You can't do that. I'll say hard rule. You can't do that.
Okay, so in that case,
I agree with that.
Whether or not it's rape is up to the woman to be sure to give a stronger signal than what she may have given.
Yeah.
Even if she intended to give it, intended for it to be interpreted.
Yeah, you might fuck up, sure, and the person could be a rapist, and that's just who you would
try. So I think that might be where the disagreement lies between us, because I would agree with that from the perspective of how we should interact with people, but I think when we're talking about meaningfully why I care about rape, it's not because they didn't give the right signal or whatever. It's because their autonomy, they feel as though their autonomy is violated, and that their autonomy was inside of a situation, not whether or not their signals were this, that, or the other. So an indicator that we could use, this was a kind of a previous point, that Max did pick up maybe on the right signal, was that the individual wanted to continuously see Max after that point. And I think that is a signal that perhaps he read that situation correctly.
Okay.
So when
I don't want to get into this, but like what you're just saying is so wrong, and I feel like a fucking SJW. But what you're talking about is rape culture, like unironically, like the idea that you can fuck somebody and they'll end up liking it afterwards, and like, well, they hooked up with me a second time, like they fucking came back, like, did I really rape this bitch the first time? Like she literally came back for more dick, like that. It is. No, stop saying It is the fact that you would even say that is so unbelievably fucking wrong. Okay, it's not.
Okay,
that's
wait,
not.
So then you misunderstand my point off of that.
Okay,
my point isn't supposed to be. My point isn't supposed to be that the action itself isn't rape because of that. What I'm saying is that the signs he interpreted as a thumbs up are more likely to have been properly interpreted with that being the case. Not necessary, not sufficient, but it is more likely that he probably read the signals right based on them wanting to continuously interact with him in the future.
Sure, inductively, that's probably true. Maybe, yeah.
Also,
I feel like that's almost
that
certainly
part
true.
is an afternote that was added in content afterwards. In that content that he put out, he says that he never heard back from her and he doesn't know how she felt.
No,
about it.
that's not
That was
true.
the initial video that we listened to. Yes.
No, he says she fucking called him back. Maybe in the original.
No,
video.
the initial
Story,
video.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
that's
we can
what
all
I'm
fucking
saying.
watch it again.
That's not really necessarily
Gaslight
relevant to the
Supreme.
point that I'm making.
No, I
And
think
the
that
no
that's
jumper one
relevant
was
because
No, it's not relevant to the point that I'm making.
No, I think it is
personally.
relevant for someone who just wants to be able to have this conversation out there without being crucified. If they come back later on and change parts of the story that make it seem better, I think that is super relevant.
Well, if they change the parts of the story, then sure. But I'm having a conversation.
That is a change to the story.
We're having a conversation about the ethics of rape in general, not necessarily whether or not materially the matter of facts. Yeah, we're not
if you
deducing
guys
the matter of
invoke the
facts
fact
of
that
where
she
he stood. And
if you invoke the fact that she calls him and hangs out with him afterward, like later on, then yeah, I'm going to check that because that's not something that was in the original content.
But we agree that that's where it's at right now, right? Based on the story.
I don't know if that's the case.
Oh, okay. I apologize if I was running with a misunderstanding of where the facts currently lie. But I think when I'm having this discussion, what I care a lot about is trying to make sure that we can understand how Max can interpret these social signals or whatever, and whether or not he interpreted these signals in an accurate way, not whether or not a rape had occurred, because I agree by, and I think he said as much. He agrees by all technical and matter of fact definitions. He did rape that individual. It's about whether or not how those social dynamics work in material reality, whether or not that is a sustainable understanding of rape that preserves what we want to preserve for essentially the consequences of rape. Because if it does count as rape, if Max can be labeled a rapist on the same level as a violent rapist because he went with a nonverbal cue in spite of or over, tried to use a nonverbal cue to override a verbal cue, then I
the
don't.
Qualifier there when you said if Max is going to be a rapist on par with a violent rapist, like you separated them yourself right there.
Yeah, I believe there is a legitimate separation between somebody that walks into a room. Like, for instance, do you believe that somebody that finds a woman passed out on the ground and just rapes them is the same level of rapist as some dude that goes to a bar, hits on some chick who he doesn't even know is like really good at hiding she's drunk, and then they fuck, and then...
I agree that there's different levels, but I mean, now we're not arguing whether or not they for the qualification of a rapist. Now we're arguing for whether or not we need different types of rape signifiers.
So that is a large
forward,
part of the conversation, I think.
When women or men want to come forward, this is the language that they have to work with. Maybe you want to make new words, and that's fine, but when people are trying to make claims and shit like that, you have to allow them to use the language that everyone else uses.
Well, sure. Yeah, I'm not saying that anybody here that used the word rapist needs to be canceled. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm stating is that I think that there is a material, meaningful difference between what Max was described doing himself and like a violent rape that we can all think of inside of our minds.
It just seems like when we have this conversation,
creepy.
But,
Sorry,
like, when
say
we
again.
have-
There's two people talking. Go ahead.
It
Carrie,
feels like
go.
when we have this conversation, what a lot of people will take away from it is, oh, if I'm not violently raped, I should never call what happened to me rape.
No, I don't. Well, oh, sorry. Let me. I guess if that's true, then that's
yeah,
not
that's
my
just
point.
how it sounds like it's coming across.
Okay. That isn't my intention. What my intention is to do is to show that there are nonverbal things that people, ways that people communicate when they interact sexually that does meet the merit of rape. Like we used the example of dude walks into a bar, the chick is blackout drunk but looks otherwise fine. They go home together. They sleep together. Was she raped? Everybody? Yes, no? A round for the class. Cherry, was she raped?
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
Dude walks into a bar, chick is blackout drunk. She otherwise looks completely capable and sober. They go home together, they sleep. They fuck. Was she raped? Yes or no?
If she's blackout drunk, how did she get home?
I think she can.
But
Hold
it
on.
was in an
I'll
Uber.
engage. I think she was raped, but I think there was no raper. She just got raped.
Based take. Thank you. That's what I'm trying to get at here. Is when we're talking about somebody being a rapist, we need to have those levels because I agree she was raped 100%. But was there somebody to be condemned? Was there an action to be condemned? No. The individual went to a bar. He picked up a chick that looked sober, and there was. That's
Yeah,
it.
but what
Sex
level is
happened.
Max not meeting here though? Because it seems like there is an action to be condemned. Like.
I agree. There is an action to be condemned. I think that though, when we're the issue that I'm having is when you say that he is on the equivalent level of the like most violent, or well, I'm not going to say most, but it sounded like you said violent rapists.
That he doesn't give
and
a
in
fuck
some
about
cases
consent.
worse.
The point is that he thinks he got consent. And like calling him a rapist implies that he's having the sex forcefully or without without any regard to the consent, whether or not the sex is wanted and consented to.
And correct, and I believe that he did have regard for it, but he didn't have regard for it. I think in a way that probably all of us agree that he should have, right? He should have had more. Correct. All right. So all of us are in agreement that he should have been more considerate. He should have taken the nonverbal to the greater degree of which Destiny has been making that argument the entire time that a verbal no needs a ridiculous amount of added nonverbal, preferably just verbal, retracking in order to get to the point where in which you have the green light for sex. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at, is like the levels. So are you still of the opinion that Max is on the same level as like that violent rapist kind of caricature thing?
Violent caricature? No, but like ordinary like rapist that like ignores like when women say no? Yes.
I actually.
Can we all watch the clip?
I think I'm
Oh my
fine with
God.
that.
Can we all watch the
I
clip?
think I'm okay with that.
Where's
Are
the
you
one
okay
clip?
with that, Supreme?
No, he's not okay with that.
Can you repeat it?
Link me the clip we watched last night.
Don't play the fucking clip. That's just as bad as you just doing the, someone
It's
just
bad
showing the
to
clip.
listen to the.
Wait, hold
I
on,
know. Here's
the story.
Supreme. Why don't you disagree with the?
Wait, let's all watch.
I don't
the
know
clip.
what I'm
Let's
not
all watch.
disagreeing
Let's
with.
all watch the clip. Okay.
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 Here's the story.
Okay. Here we go.
I don't make content in 30-second clip.
Story. A couple years ago, I matched with a woman on Tinder. I say woman because she was 46. Anyway, we got frozen yogurt. She came over. We got naked. I got naked. Then we both got naked. We started making out. Sex kind of makes me anxious, so I don't like a ton of foreplay. To me, it should be like tearing off a Band-Aid, right? I'm trying to be patient. Finally, I get her on top of me. I put my dick in place, like right at her vagina, and I'm like, all right, let's do this. She holds perfectly still and says, I'm not ready. Clear as day, no mistaking her meaning. She doesn't consent. But she has this look in her eye, like she's daring me to just push it in. Like I'm some kind of pussy if I don't. I could have been imagining that, but I grabbed her shoulders and pushed her down onto my dick. Did she like that I did that? I think so. She probably had mixed feelings about it. Was it rape? Yes, I guess. I don't know. She told me not to, and I did it anyway. That makes it rape. Did the cops show up later? No. Did she want to meet up again? Yeah. Does that mean it's not rape? No. It's rape. But I don't feel bad about it. I don't know how she felt about it. If you're watching this, let me know in the comments. Here's the story. A couple years...
Okay. So, that is here's what I want to get to. So to you, what makes it rape is the fact that the level of the signal that he received, even if it was intended, would not be sufficient for consent, and so it's definitionally rape. Am I understanding that correctly?
Any nonverbal,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, no detail of this has changed. This is the video that we watched 1 year ago, and he wasn't a rapist then. He wasn't a rapist 2 months ago. He
Okay,
wasn't a rapist.
hold on.
Based on these
Can
details that have not changed until
Okay,
today.
go ahead. Yep, keep going. Okay, yep, I'm spiteful. Okay, can somebody give me the link to the video that I watched when he was describing it to the woman on the couch? Because this is the one that I watched, I think, when I was playing Dyson Sphere program. I did not watch this clip a year ago or whatever the fuck. But so somebody link me the one that...
Relevant, you think he's a rapist, right?
No, I wouldn't call him a rapist, but I think he raped somebody.
Okay, and Wicked, you don't think he's a rapist, right?
Correct, because I think so. I was going to ask Steven this, but I don't think this is a good moment to do it. I think when we call somebody a rapist, we are trying to do something with that, and I think that's not just. It's like, for instance, has a white person said the N-word? Yes. Are they a racist for the rest of their life? I think what we mean when we use these labels is something different than just saying they did something. I think it implies some condemnation of their character. And I think that the condemnation of Max's character here to rapist just doesn't make sense to me.
So you want to use it like an adjective, not a noun? That's your beef with it?
Well, I would argue this is how everyone ought use it. Do you agree that any white person that's ever used the N-word in a derogatory term will forever be a racist then?
I want to go back to the other example because
Where's the YouTube video that I watched? Destiny, is this it? Or do I can't go on.
And I'm not even saying I should have done it.
I'm not gonna be able to find it. Fuck. There was like a timestamp that I'd watched before. So the proper. It's this video. Somebody linked the video. It was on another link. Somebody linked that video on the other link. Why don't you watch the no jumper version? Because that's not the one I watched originally. I don't have the timestamp. Okay. Okay, so this was at like 41 minutes, I think. 40 minutes.
She said she's not ready.
Or actually, fuck it. I can just listen to the video on here. Go back to 121. Because they're his attacks, they're his questions. But I'm gonna... Oh, I'll go back to 120. This fucking loser's still talking. To like even be willing to have this conversation is pretty cool in and of itself. But I don't think she's like had a critical conversation about what she's thought in terms of this stuff before. I don't think a lot of us do, unfortunately.
I like how this interview has just turned into like you showing me YouTube.
I agree, but I think you're giving him a bit more credit than her. I think you can do a lot better to reach out here. No, I don't think I'm giving that much credit at all. Maybe you hear me vocalizing more. I can vocalize more. Like I said, like I think a lot of his ideas. The reason, okay, let me see if I can do this. The reason why I'm critiquing her is because I want to hear better critiques of him. So he's the kind of, we'll say, like the aggressor in this conversation. He's come here to put forth challenging assertions to her ideology. He's here to fight against feminism, essentially, right? So I'm not going to be critiquing him saying like, oh, well, he should be asking these types of questions, because I would be on the defensive side here. I would be the one defending it. So my critiques are going to be, I wish she would have brought up this point, or I wish she would have said that. I can't really critique like his questions because they're his attacks, they're his questions. What I'm going to be critiquing is like, well, how is it being received? Like, what's the other side saying, basically?
You on YouTube too, so that's...
Fuck you. The video says that consent... Oh, if I show it to you, then I have to put it in the video, and then this video will get fucking taken out. The video...
See, I'm helping you. I'm helping you by having standards.
The video says that...
I'm sorry.
The video...
Oh my God.
Talk...
yeah,
we gotta kind of... Yeah. The video says that consent is not a simple yes or no. I gave an example of a time I had sex. One of the very few times I've had sex recently.
Mm-hmm.
I had sex with this 40-something, late 40s, mid-40s. She's watching. I shouldn't have said that. Mid-40s woman who we were talking, and she was like, do you want to get naked? And I was like, yes. And I got naked, and we started making out. And I was like, okay, let's have sex. She was like, really? You want to have sex? I was like, yeah, let's have sex. Okay. So we started making out and kissing, and she's on top of me, and my penis is at the entrance of her vagina. Mm-hmm. She says, I'm not ready. And is completely frozen, like looking at me. Mm-hmm. But she looks like she is ready. But she says she's not ready.
Then you should stop.
But I didn't.
It's happened to me before. It's not fun.
Okay. So then we had sex for a while. And my sense in that moment, I didn't say this in the original video, but I'll give you some extra context. My sense was that it felt like she wanted me to not be able to stop myself, but I don't even like sex that much. So I was just kind of like, I mean, I like sex. It's complicated. I have a lot of self-control. I'll never be like unable to, like, oh, I was just so horny I had to do that. That's never been me. But it felt like something about the way she was looking at me gave me the sense that it was like a game, and that's what I was supposed to do.
I feel like from my end, consent checking in.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was definitely.
So the proper challenge here. So it's difficult to engage with what he's saying because we don't want to be true. So the proper challenge here is that it starts with a concession, okay? It actually might be the case that that is what she wanted at this point in time. And it might be the case that everything turns out okay. But the problem is repeatability, right? You don't really truly know what's going on in a person's mind. And it might be possible, and I think you could get him to admit this. There is some chance that when she said she wasn't ready, she actually truly was not. That's actually totally possible. And if we just push forward here with an 80% success rate, then 1 out of every 5 women in the situation are effectively getting raped, which is probably not something we should accept, you know? I would say definitely not something we should accept. I think that's the challenge that has to be presented here for this type of thought.
Technically, rape, like for sure. But she reacted really well to it, and you know, we talked more afterward. I also sent her the video, and she didn't press charges, although she still could.
I don't know if he's going to say anything relevant after this.
Good of you to remind.
Yes. Yeah. So and then I showed the video of Joe Biden smelling his like the treasurer's wife, Treasury Secretary's wife when Obama was president. He like sniffs her hair, and she's like recoiling from him. And then she wrote like a whole op-ed about how it wasn't creepy and how she loves him and how they're good.
Okay, fuck.
Disagreeing on. We're just disagreeing on language application, right?
True.
You would apply rapist, I wouldn't. That's the only difference, right? We both agree that it's a perfectly fine action to pick up a chick at a coffee store, and then if she happens to be drunk after you have sex with her, there's nothing wrong with that action, right? Me and you agree with that, correct?
Yeah, if it's consensual, there's nothing wrong with it.
Well, it can't be consensual because she's like blackout drunk. But
wait.
the dude doesn't know that. He has no ability to know that in this hypothetical. So did he do something wrong? Did he do something morally impugnable? I would say the answer is no, because from his perception, he couldn't have known the hazards that he needed to know in order to be morally condemned for his actions.
What do we miss?
What are we missing?
Vince trying to explain
You just
to me
watched the
like
video.
this concept
Oh,
of like.
before I said there was if you go forward with this type of mentality, then 1 out of 5 times you're raping a woman. So
Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
maybe before I called him a 20% rapist then, but I did say that when I was evaluating at that time, I wasn't evaluating the truthiness or the rapiness of his story. I was evaluating on the woman's end for the challenge that she should have given in response, which is you can never be sure if you're raping somebody or not.
You're not calling him a 20% rapist. You're talking about the risk involved in like operating on those rules, which I 100% agree with. It's
Yeah, but I mean, like
incredibly
but I explicitly said in that video, I said that if I were to ask him, he would be forced to concede that there is a chance that when she said no, she meant no.
Well, okay, a couple things. Number one.
Wait, hold on. What I just said was a fact. How are you not agreeing with that? What I just said was a factual statement.
The problem is that there's no disagreement that he interpreted the no as a no. We always knew that. That's always been part of the video. It's about whether he interpreted the next thing as a yes or as a sign of consent.
Sure, but I'm just saying that back then I said, even back then when I was being hyper ultra charitable, even back then I said that Max should be forced to concede that there was a chance that when she said no, she meant no. I said that.
He does concede that.
Okay, I just want to say that I said that. So my position hasn't like radically changed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The only
Which
difference
is why he calls it rolling the dice. When I say radically change, I'm also referring to like I feel like when I watched you watch the Flacco video, you were talking about this a lot and like.
In the Flacco video,
You said you
Flacco's a
didn't even wanna
fucking
call it rape, I
moron
feel like,
because that guy was like a horrible fucking engager for
Thank
the
you.
entire
Okay.
conversation.
True.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. You're right, and he was just trying to dunk or whatever. There's a second thing, okay? The one that you just played a little bit ago, where he says, "I saw a look in her eye where she's daring me to do it like I'm some kind of pussy." I had never seen that one before. The first time I heard it was him describing it to you, and yeah, just based on that, that's rape because he doesn't say, "I thought she was consenting." He's like, "She's daring me to."
Yeah,
do
and he
it.
also adds a few more details that make it a little bit sketchier as well, where he's saying that like oh, like I like to skip the foreplay because I don't want to do any of this, waste any time, blah 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 blah. That is starting to like push it in a certain direction.
I didn't hear any of that. I was having a separate conversation. I feel like we broke ground while you were.
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, well, we were
Honestly,
muted.
the biggest thing was that you had seen this earlier clip of him with the whole like daring me to do it, and I just hadn't. So you know what?
Well, I didn't see
I'm
this one until
if
like yesterday. I think somebody sent it me. I think I watched it off stream before I even started my stream, and I hadn't seen that one prior to because people were starting to post a ton of old shit from him. That and like Pornhub videos he did. But like this was a video that I hadn't seen. I'd only seen that, and I'm watching me watch this video. It's him describing it on the couch with this other woman, and like you said, he is provocative, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's phrasing this in the most extreme way, but he's having a conversation. It's kind of cool, blah 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 blah. But I don't think I'd seen that other streamable clip before, which it tells it in a way more aggressive way.
Okay, I get it. Well, listen, now that I've seen that video, I've changed my mind as well. Based if we're now, then it's a game of like which Max do we believe? Because you know, like he's changed his story over the years. Who knows what's real? If he was just saying that to be provocative or what? But based on that story alone, I would say that we should comfortably call that rape. The daring me to do it like I'm some kind of pussy thing.
Okay, good. I can raise the price on your stock so my community won't bully you, and you can survive another day. Okay.
It ain't up to you. I think you're fucking almost completely irrelevant to that. It doesn't matter.
No, I control all the market.